Black Power, as always, giving honor to the Creator, giving honor to the ancestors. My sister, my father, Chief of Staff Brother Harris Abdul of the Street Law Soldiers, my in-laws, and all of the ancestors and all of you brothers and sisters who are fighting for the liberation and salvation of our black nation, as well as my subscribers and followers and listeners. I'd like to take time out to send my energy to Brother Mark Duckett, who's in terminal illness, dealing with a terminal illness right now. We wish him all the best. Also, all of the brothers, the Tacoma Park crew, Fred, Glenn, and all the other brothers up there in Tacoma Park, as well as those who also have passed that were close to me that are in the ancestral realm. You know, Brother Rick Clayton, and an array of other brothers and sisters who have gone on and made the ascension and have gone on to the ancestral realm. That's what I wanted to take some time to acknowledge those people. You know, those known and unknown, those that I named, those that I did not name. So let's go ahead and move on, and we're going to discuss. I'm going to talk about Marcus Garvey. You don't mind, we all can discuss this. As my personal opinion of Marcus Garvey, that, I believe Garvey was one of the, excuse me, sorry for the inconvenience, brothers and sisters, but Marcus Garvey, who, in my personal opinion, was the strongest, most powerful black man of our time. When I say of our time, I'm talking about nearly throughout the black existence in terms of liberation, in terms of our liberation from being captives and being in slavery and held in bondage here in the 90 Snakes. Marcus Garvey was the most powerful brother out of all of our great revolutionaries and great liberators, great scholars, great teachers, great warriors. You know, Marcus Garvey was a combination of all those. He had a 6+ million black people following that were UNIA members, Universal Negro Improvement Association. That was powerful. No one ever had that. He also had the ships, which he trusted someone, Joshua Coburn, to purchase the ships. And what happened with the money Garvey gave Coburn to purchase the ships, he went and bought some raggedy ships that could not endure the voyage back to Africa for our people, and he pocketed, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which later on Marcus Garvey dealt with him physically. This is one of the ships. He had 2 ships, and the third ship was in progress to be restored, and all the other repairs that needed to be done for that. I think that was the I forgot the name of the ship. I think it was the this was the Yarmouth. This was the Yarmouth. And that was bad investments, which destroyed the work that Marcus Garvey had put in terms of setting our ancestors up to go back home to Liberia. And if this had worked, Liberia right now, which we would probably be there, we would have been born there, would have been probably the empire and the capital of the world. Because during that time, the brothers and sisters that Garvey had, you know, out of the 6 million, you had hundreds of thousands, maybe a few million were professionals in different areas, different trades, doctors, lawyers, school teachers. I mean, Garvey was powerful, very, very powerful. And that's where I give, you know, credit where credit's due. And he gave pride. He gave that black pride to, you know, our people. He let them feel, you know, powerful. He let them realize and gave them the information for them to look within themselves and to see who they really were. As you can see, this family is standing. These are Garveyites. This family was standing tall and powerful, with a lot of pride and dignity and warriorhood. And this is what needs to return back to the black community. Because we're sitting here, we're condoning and giving homosexuality a green light over top of the recreation and redevelopment of the black family once again. And that's one of the reasons why we're in the conditions that we're in. Again, the pride and power. You know, when one of the brothers put on a uniform, you know, it was said that they felt so strong and people respected them. You know, whites moved out of the way because of the pride that they had of being a soldier in the UNIA. You know, these brothers stood tall, powerful, with a lot of pride. And it wasn't nothing to see brothers and sisters. Now, you know, they had sisters that were powerful too. Like these sisters here. Very, very powerful sisters that stood up with the uniforms on them. You know, the red, black, and green flag which Marcus Garvey created. You know, and this is why I say Garvey was so much of a powerful leader, orator, scholar. Played fair with everybody. Played fair with everybody. And that's why I know that the ancestors from slavery, his father, his parents who were slaves, that had moved to the ancestral realm, became ancestors. Those people that died as in physical slavery, as chattel slaves, you know, came back through these sisters. The UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association. Look at these brothers. Soldiers. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we need today. When I created the Street Law Soldiers, as you all know, those who know me know that we have red, black, and green uniforms when we out in the community feeding the homeless and giving away clothes and lecturing in the streets. You know, the UNIA actually was part of the spark that ignited in me to get my own movement, my own organization, which I call a movement, Street law soldiers is a legal movement, legal. And that's what I'm saying about these brothers and sisters who was willing to give their lives for liberation, so their children and their grandchildren, which is us, would be free. You know, and during that time that Garvey came through, you had Haile Selassie and Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali, who gravitated to Garvey and you know, had the same type of tactics and patterned himself after Garvey in a lot of ways, with the exception for the Masonic demonstration that Noble Drew Ali had incorporated in his movement, which was the Moorish Science Temple, which people get that confused. Moorish means kind of, you know, and Noble Drew Ali began to build temples all around the U.S. as well. And Haile Selassie, who traced his bloodline back to Kush, the Empire of Kush. And so that made him a king. I remember him coming to the United States during the Kennedy administration, and Kennedy bowed down to Haile Selassie. But however, Garvey was the most influential brother of that era, of that entire era. You know, and Garvey was very, very highly structured. He didn't live a lavish life. He lived in a flat. A flat is like a efficiency. He lived in a flat, and he ate oodles. It was something like oodles of noodles, but it was a more of a soup like yakamine. Garvey ate that several times a week as his meal. Tuna fish, you know, cans of tuna fish. When he had the opportunity to live lavishly because of the money that he had generated from 6 million followers. And not only just Garveyites, but you had sympathizers that made contributions in hopes that Garvey could liberate them too. You know, and that's the newspaper was called the Negro World. You know, and you know, Garvey became a major threat to white supremacy. He even, the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, the Grand Wizard, even met with Garvey. Because they had the same ideologies, damn near, because the Grand Wizard told Garvey he wanted separation. He wanted to get away from niggers. And Garvey responded, we want to get away from crackers. So we both are on the same page as far as separation is concerned. Garvey was not a tall man. Garvey was pretty short and stocky. But he had a lot of fight in him. You know, physically, mentally, spiritually. Because he, you know, like I said, he had to put a couple of people on their ass for the shit that they done, how they crossed him. You know, and made this entire mission to go back to Liberia collapse. You know, being a powerful scholar, a very, very powerful scholar. And as you can see, he did the he did the lecture at Carnegie Hall in New York. You know, it was over 25,000 people there. And I have some of Garvey's speeches. And if you want to listen to any Garvey speeches, you know, you can go online. They have them online. You know, but at the same time, they are played very, very fast. So if you have a computer or any type of software that can slow down, you know, music and things of that nature, you'll be all right. You know, and these were close friends of Garvey's. At least they pretended to be, because the one in the middle was a snake. He was a straight snake. And this was the brother who was the Garvey's closest friend. This is the person Garvey trusted the most. Garvey had more love for this brother and respect than anyone else. And all the while, this brother was FBI informant under J. Edgar Hoover. And he helped set Garvey up, in which Garvey had a trial that was a biased trial. You know, back in the 1920s, you know, you didn't have a chance going to trial. And so that's what happened. And Garvey was sentenced to 5 years in Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. And that's when he wrote a lot of the writings that's in the book Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. And that's when he made the infamous statement, "Look for me in the whirlwinds." He said, if I die, I will be he said, I will come back and be a terror to white supremacy. Powerful brother. Study Marcus Garvey. Study him, so you can understand who he really was and how far we fell from grace, that we dropped the torch. You know, the generations and generations before us apparently dropped the torch. And now, you know, everything is in disarray in terms of the direction that we need to go in for our liberation. Because this is what the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey gave us. He said, when I die, wrap the red, black, and green flag around me, the mantle of the red, black, and green around me. He said he will come as a hurricane, as a tornado, and he will destroy the system of racism, white supremacy. And who knows how many times he may have been here. Based on this white faggot piece of shit, this homosexual, dick-sucking faggot, J. Edgar Hoover, gay Edgar Hoover, when he first joined the FBI in 1924, I believe, Marcus Garvey was the first case that he had. And his mission was to take Garvey down. Because on the other hand, you had Melvin Purvis, and they were chasing, you know, John Dillinger and all those other cracker crooks and thugs that was hitting banks. But Hoover knew if he brought down Garvey, he would be the director of the FBI. Federal Bureau of Idiots. Fat Fuckboys Incorporated. And he took Garvey down and Garvey, when he got that 5 years, he was deported as well. As always, you have assistance. The white supremacy always has niggers to help them bring another black person down. W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington played their part in helping destroying the UNIA. It never fails. It never fails. It's always one of us who brings us down, who assists the devil into bringing us down. And in turn, Du Bois they formed an organization to combat the UNIA, for all the house Negroes to join. And all to take down the warrior organization, the UNIA. They developed an organization for all the bootlickers called the NAACP. And up to today, still has the same name, National Advancement Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It still calls itself colored people. So you know it's a bootlicking organization. And I'll tell you, I'm not going to do a video on it. I was going to do a video on this, but I changed my mind. Even with the Nordstrom situation up in St. Louis. Now, you never hear anything about the NAACP because they're nothing but fucking cowards, and they just take backdoor money from white supremacy to agree with them and let them do what they want to do to crush the animosity and bring friendship for a price. And so what they do, with the Nordstrom case, with those 3 boys that were in there shopping for prom gear, Nordstrom paid the NAACP an undisclosed amount of money, provided that those boys let it go. And then they gave the boys an apology. But Nordstrom hasn't changed. Look online, you'll see all the lawsuits that Nordstrom, out-of-court settlements that they have paid out, up in the millions. National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It should say National Association for the Advancement of Coon Personnel. Now this coon, this bootlicker from St. Louis, the St. Louis chapter of the NAACP, spoke out concerning the Nordstrom situation in St. Louis. And trust me, when it comes down to shit like that where they can get paid, that's when NAACP, they don't do anything. They don't participate in any type of revolt. They don't participate in any type of serious protest dealing with white supremacy. You never see them, you never hear about them until it comes down to some fucking money. And so when Du Bois, he ran the NAACP, you know, but he called Garvey a big black ape. Booker Washington called him a gorilla. And Garvey responded that he'll have their tongue cut out. And it was no response from either one of them ever since. However, the mission was completed into bringing Garvey down and getting the Garvey deported back to Jamaica. But they can never take the Garvey out of our hearts. And that's one thing we need to incorporate into our beings. The spirit, the fire, the warriorism of Marcus Garvey. Of the red, black, and green. They never made a movie about Marcus Garvey or Toussaint Louverture and the Haitian Revolution. But if they were to make a Marcus Garvey movie, I would choose this brother here, this actor, young actor here, to portray Marcus Garvey. Because they damn near look alike. And this brother, Vaselis, bad brother. He played in the Hurricane. He was the boy that was living with the crackers that was writing Hurricane. And phenomenal actor. And you know, brothers and sisters, don't let the spirit of Garvey leave you. Don't ever let the spirit of Garvey leave you. And Garvey's wife, Amy, could be played by Loretta Devine. And so, you know, we have the material. You know, we have the material to make a movie. You know, I have nothing against the Black Panther. Believe me, I don't. But let's make a movie about Toussaint Louverture. Because Danny Glover attempted to do it in Hollywood. In Hollywood, the white Jew boys told him that they would not back it because it's no white hero in the movie. You know, so we need to be independent. Tariq Nasheed and the other white Jews got together and made 1804. You know, which is close. And I give him credit for that. You know, however, with Tariq Nasheed, he could have just got some brothers and sisters instead of using those Jews, white Jews that hate you. At the end of the day, they hate you. They might play like they got love for you, but that's because money is involved. But they hate you. Could have got some brothers to do it, but I still give you credit for putting it together. But incorporate the spirit of Marcus Garvey. One of the meanest. I'm talking about tough. Tough, man. Up you mighty race. Accomplish what you will. Powerful soldier. You know, I would have loved to have saw when they marched in Harlem, when they had the parade, when you know, in the thousands of strong brothers and sisters in uniform, in unison, highly disciplined. See, a lot of people get their you know, a lot of ideas based on Marcus Garvey and the UNIA. The Black Panthers, Nation of Islam, any black organization or movement that has a particular uniform and that marches that are in structure. Garvey was the one who planted the seed for that particular generation. But the one who planted the seed for it all was Hannibal Barker. Hannibal Barker, 22 years old, was general. Yeah, brothers and sisters, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of power. But focus on Marcus Garvey. Focus on Marcus Garvey. Do some research on Marcus Garvey and those who followed him. Carlos Cooks and others. But the UNIA still exists. The UNIA, they have UNIA chapters everywhere. Everywhere. Garvey had them in different countries. South America. He had them everywhere. All down the Caribbean. All in Mexico. Venezuela. Canada. UNIA chapters were everywhere. And today, we still have UNIA chapters. We have one here in Washington, D.C. You know, I give honor to the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Because everything came after him. The Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, Carlos Cooks, 5% Nation, Gods and Earths, New Wabians, Black Panther Party, the Street Law Soldiers, Ceasefire. So, I'll be getting back to y'all in a minute with another video. So, as always, Hotep, Black Power.